This is Robert with Virginia Farm Bureau's Grain Division. Glad to bring you the Merchandiser Minute for Friday, March 12th, 2021. And I think everybody that I've spoken to, all you members this week, have either been in a tractor, a sprayer, or a truck. Y'all have gotten a lot of work done in the field this week. It's been great to hear about it all and encouraging to see so much get done as we get right into this new crop season. We got a lot of videos and pictures this week of corn planters rolling in Louisiana, in Texas, and in Arkansas. That's encouraging to see as well. And I think a few words to sum the week up would be fertilizer, weather, and currencies. All over the world, we've seen some more interesting monetary policy coming out of governments, including our own here in the United States. Whether it's the Federal Reserve, who's been talking about inflation, or Congress, who's passed another big spending bill, those issues and those circumstances around economics and politics have definitely, again, had another big influence on future price. And I've heard a lot this week from you all about fertilizer as y'all are busy spreading it and making plans to spread it, about some really logistical issues that are coming into the system. And we also heard this week from the political arena as it concerns fertilizer, with maybe some interest in tariffs and different things that are going on with fertilizer ingredients that are coming into the United States. So keep your mind's eye on that. And whether we gapped higher on Sunday night when we opened on the futures market because of dry weather in Argentina's forecast. We saw rain come into their forecast this week that took some wind out of the futures markets. And we know our friends in the Rockies and in the high plains are expecting a monumental snowstorm and winter storm over the next 36 hours. So we're going to keep all those folks in our mind's eye this weekend. Let's take a look at some of the other headlines here. We saw China's futures market, soybean meal on their futures market, fall off of record highs this week. We've also seen the domestic price for corn in China fall off. This is, and again, that corn price was at record highs also. This is, again, fueling some speculation, and that's what it is about African swine fever, that disease working its way through China's hog herd again. And one of the neatest things this week I saw in reference to this that an analyst told me, he has access to slaughter weights for feeder pigs in China, and he says those slaughter weights are going down, which makes him think that maybe some integrators, some producers there might be having some problems, and they're just processing those herds early. Just keep your eye on that. Obviously, the big picture there is demand. Talking about weather, we got more respectable reports this week that shows the La Nina weather occurrence is weakening and looks like it's going to be weakening sooner than expected. I saw one news report this week that said we will definitely have a different weather pattern in North America for the growing season, and we'll just have to wait and see what different means. We know it's still droughty, very dry in the western plains right now. And we'll see if this big winter storm, as hard as it's going to be to deal with the kind of snow amounts they're talking about on the eastern slope of the Rocky Mountains, it could really help with the dry situation. More of the same in Brazil. They're behind on soybean harvest because of wetness, behind getting the double crop corn planted. I saw one government number this week from there that they're 50% planted on their double crop corn, should be 80% planted. One thing we did see this week was a really big pickup in shipments, raw beans leaving Brazil. We know there's a long wait, 45, 50 days wait down there. The boats are backed up, waiting to get loaded, but we did see a lot more ships leave this week. Egypt was in the market this week. We know they're a big wheat importer, if not the biggest in the world. They're close to it. I can't quite remember. They bought some wheat this week. It wasn't ours. They bought Romanian wheat. We saw crude oil fall off some this week, but a lot of volatility in intraday trade. But we're above $60 a barrel, and you folks are telling me to pay attention because diesel fuel here is up $1 a gallon since November. Malaysian palm oil had its best week in 5.5 years from an upward price movement perspective, took the price to a 13-year high. We know Malaysian palm oil, we got to watch it. That's the #1 competitor to soy oil, and they're so related in how they trade together, soy oil and Malaysian palm oil. So let's look at these futures and how they closed this week in Chicago. We're down across the three commodities that we talk about here. May corn down 6 cents for the week. $5.39 a bushel. May beans down 17 cents a bushel for the week to close at $14.13. And then we've got July wheat down 11 cents for the week to close at $6.32. So down, 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 even though all three of these commodities gapped higher on the open on Sunday night. They opened higher Sunday night than they closed on Friday off of dry weather in the forecast for Argentina. So the big thing this week we came into looking forward to is the WASDE report, the World Ag Supply and Demand report that we got on Tuesday. USDA basically left the numbers unchanged. Ending stocks, what's going to be left over in the bin on August 31st of this year, same number as we saw in February, 1.5 billion bushel corn, 120 million bushels of leftover beans. So remember the kind of volatility that we're seeing right now. Even when we're trading sideways in the range, we're getting big ranges. This bull market, we know we're tending to make the highs of the session at night. We know when our ending stocks are this low, we're going to have volatility. So we saw USDA kind of leave everything the same. The trade saw that and figured it in. The numbers were up a little bit Tuesday at the close, but we did see a sell-off in futures on Wednesday as some of those weak long positions, weak speculators did jump out. They've got big profits. We can expect more of that. We're going to watch for it. And that's got to be on my mind and your mind as we're trying to make marketing decisions, cleaning up our old crop bushels and thinking ahead about what our perspective is in the future. We did see a couple of surprises this week. The Buenos Aires Grain Exchange, they cut Argentina's production. That's where they're located at. They got the real numbers. They reduced their production for this crop year slightly due to dryness. And we saw CONAB, the statistical service that produces numbers for Brazil, raise the production expectation in Brazil. So again, we saw USDA leave it the same. We saw Argentina lower their production numbers a little bit, and we saw Brazil raise their production numbers a little bit. We're going to keep our eye on that going forward. A lot of outside influences. The Dow Jones has made new highs this week. The dollar has big volatility, but we are down this week from where we were last week, even though we were up today. Keep your eye on that. And we do, last thing I'll say in closing, we did hear from Reuters again about some ethanol shipments on their way to China. That's good news. We're going to watch for that next week. We're going to see how this winter storm plays out. We're going to look for hopefully some big flash sales announcements next week to spur this market. Give Josie or I a call if we can help you. This is Robert at Virginia Farm Bureau's Grain Division.